arrived of the royalist restoration, he headed back to San Antonio. And it was silly of him. And you'll find out why in a minute. Offered a pardon that other repentant rebels accepted, he refused the offer. Instead, thinking that his past conduct of well-known royalist sympathies would inoculate him from a charge of treason, he came back. And it was not the case. How did Seguin come to be considered a traitor to the just cause? What made him believe that he could receive real justice from what many of his fellow Tejanos and other Mexicans labeled the tyrannous and arbitrary monarchy? We are fortunate that the complete proceedings of the Crown's case against Seguin have survived in the state archives in Coahuila. And if I ever get a chance to step down as CEO of the Texas State Historical Association, I have already completed the translation of the transcript. It's about 100 pages long, so I've already completed the translation, and I just need to put the notes together and the annotations, and what you're hearing today is part of the introduction, and so that will be published at some point. So pray for me, because I need to find somebody else to take over as CEO. The case lasted from late 1813, when Seguin was arrested and charged, until March 1, 1819, when Arredondo accepted his legal advisor's opinion that Erasmo should be cleared of the charges. The record is evidence that Seguin's gamble had merit. In the end, he recovered some of his property, was restored to office, and experienced renewed trust from his fellow Bejareños and the government. He was elected alcalde in 1820, and in early 1821 was put in charge of the delegation that went to Louisiana to inform Moses Austin that his settlement project had been approved. His last service to the monarchy, with which he clearly had identified throughout his adult life up to that point. And just to be clear, Seguin was not the only Bejareño who considered himself loyal to the vice-regal government, who lost property and had to defend his actions. For instance, Jose Antonio de la Garza, who also went to Louisiana with the same group of insurgents that included Seguin, had his property confiscated. Unlike Seguin, however, Garza did not incriminate himself by openly taking on an assignment from the rebel government, or, in what proved to be the most damning aspect of Seguin's case, by writing reference letters from Natchitoches for the revolutionaries. Consequently, while Garza's case was quickly resolved in his favor and without the filing of formal charges, Seguin found himself arrested, charged, and tried for treason. To understand the case record, I have to explain a little bit about the sumaria system through which the Spanish legal system operated. It's quite different from what we're used to in the American legal system. The judicial process was managed by a juez procurador, or prosecuting judge, whose job it was to gather evidence, examine the accused and witnesses, and issue a decision, which needed endorsement from the district's full council of war, because this was a military trial. Their decision was then sent to the Commandant General for final review. In other words, there was no courtroom trial in the American sense, although the accused did have an opportunity to confront contradicting witnesses and present evidence. In the end, the system worked in Seguin's favor, as the Commandant General's legal advisor carefully reviewed the points of law, the evidence, and Seguin's character in reaching a verdict of innocent. From the file, the following chain of events can be established. After Gutierrez and the Republican Army of the North entered San Antonio at the beginning of April 1813, the prominent royalist Bejareños were arrested, among them Erasmo, along with all of the European Spaniards who were later murdered by a faction of the insurgents. And it was murder because there was not even the hint of a trial. They were told they were being sent to Louisiana, and in fact they were taken out in the country and had their throats slit. So it was there wasn't any kind of justice or proceedings involved. There was no due process.